Thank you for joining us for Worth It TV. On today, I'm your host, LaQuanda McCoullum, and I know I say this every week, but this week's show, ooh, it is going to be amazing. I have Roni Graham joining us today. She is an actress, model, a personal trainer, a mother, a woman, an incredible, dynamic human being, and I cannot wait for her to share her story with us on today. It is going to be life changing, and I can't wait for it to share it. So we're going to jump right in to start the show like how we start the show every week, and that is with our word of the week. And this week's word is don't run. Stop running. Don't. Where you going? Where you going? Some things you can't run from. You have to confront. Confrontation is what's going to bring change in your life. Addressing those things that seem like you don't feel like addressing, or that you can't address, or that you don't want to address. That is the only way that you're going to be able to bring any resolve. Avoidance doesn't mean that you're over something, that you're healed from something, that you're delivered from something. Running from it and never facing it doesn't mean that you've healed from it and that you've conquered it. No. You've got to confront it. Don't run. Confront it. Get to the root of it. Get to the core of it. Address it. And then you can move on. So don't run. Confront it. And then you can move on. All right. So I hope that word was good for you today and encouraging. We're going to jump right into our next segment, which is Girl, You Did That. And today we have a very, very, very talented young lady from Moyana's Art. Moyana is a self-taught artist. She's just turned 18, self-taught artist. You saw her beautiful artwork displayed through adversity. Even the young people go through challenges. She had family challenges, family circumstances, and she used her art as therapy for her, and it did not hinder her creativity. It only made her greater, and it only made her stronger. So, Moyana, we love you, girl. Keep doing what you're doing because you be doing it. And now we're just going to go right to commercial, and then we'll be back with our very special guest.
I used to think a godly person looked like this, until I realized God looks like me. I am the image of God.
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. And without further ado, I have to bring on the very beautiful Miss Roni Graham. How are you? Let me feel one of them guns. How are you?
I'm wonderful. I'm wonderful.
Listen, I am so glad that you were able to take time out of your busy schedule.
Let me tell you, today was a day.
Right.
Today, life was lifing.
Okay. Doesn't it do that though?
Life was lifing
Yes.
today.
Well, yeah, I'm so glad they came up with that phrase. That's one of the realest joints that I've heard. Okay, because life be like it's like
Life be lifing.
right. Sometimes there's not even enough adjectives to explain what be going on.
That's right.
So,
It's life.
life, and then we fill in the blank.
Yes.
And all that kind of stuff. But listen, I am so excited to have you here for many reasons. One is because Roni, we can talk about how many degrees she has. We can talk about the awards that she's won. We can talk about just all the accomplishments, the commercials, all those kinds of things. We can talk about those things. We may or may not, I'm not sure. But one of the things that I want to talk about today is Roni the Overcomer. Right. because it's like this. I equate it to, you know how they say somebody's overnight success
Right.
took 10 years,
Right.
took
Right.
15, 20 years
Exactly.
to occur. So a lot of times people can see who you are now, but they've not been able to experience what you've gone through to get where you are.
Right.
And so I went to one of your shows.
Okay.
It was Laughter is Therapy. And I mean, I was laughing, but I felt bad at the same time. I was like, should I really be laughing?
Everyone felt that way. It was so funny because Ozzy, which was my director, he would introduce myself to the stage. And so he would give a disclaimer. Usually he would say, listen, please enjoy the show. If you think it's funny, if your first initial thought is to laugh, laugh.
Mm-hmm.
So one show, he did not say that. Oh my gosh. Like it felt like tension, like, because people were they were like, ooh, I don't know if I should,
Yeah.
So it was like we had to make sure, like, we always said the
Gave that
disclaimer, like,
disclaimer.
it's funny. It is funny. We wrote it this way. So
Yes.
please laugh.
Please
Like,
laugh,
it's
yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
So,
it's okay.
yeah, it's okay.
Listen, if you were there, I mean, you have to tell us how people can get to the show.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll talk about that. But one of the things that the reasons why I said Roni the Overcomer, and I even brought the show up as a whole, because I work with Roni on different occasions, and you just never know what somebody has gone through and what somebody's experienced. So when I say Roni the Overcomer, I'll tell you some brief things that I learned from the show. I've learned that you've dealt with like maybe being raised by somebody who wasn't your biological mom.
Yeah, my stepmom. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you were raised by your stepmom
And my dad.
and your dad.
Mm-hmm.
You experienced molestation.
Mm-hmm.
You've experienced being around somebody or that was in a drug game, being violated, sickness, all different kinds of things. And
Yeah.
I said to myself let me tell you, after seeing that show, we'll talk about them. I had a newfound appreciation for her resilience and her outlook on the world. She is one of those people who I say, if she can do it, I can do it. Truly. So share with us a little bit about some of the experiences you've had. And I'll tell you why. The reason why we're sharing is because we want to help somebody. So that is the goal. And again, we said this before, we don't want anybody to feel like they're journeying through life by themselves.
Yep.
We don't want anybody to feel that way. So Roni is going to be our example today of life can life.
But you don't have to look like.
You don't have to look like it, but you can also life it right there.
There you go.
Okay, so come on.
What she said.
Tell us. So I don't even know where to begin. It's so much. But
okay. Well, the show is Laughter is Therapy.
Yes.
I'm not a writer. I'm not a writer at all. Actor, yes. Writer, no. Director, maybe. But writer, no. And I struggle with writing this because, but my acting coach pushed me. Actually, my friends always said I needed to write a book. Again, I'm not a writer, so I was like, whatever.
She need to write a book, y'all. Okay, she need to write a book. You hear me? But go ahead.
Yes. And so my acting coach, though, when he learned about some of the things, he always pushed us to write our own work because no one is going to give us something, a piece, a role that is going to truly show our full acting capabilities.
Yeah.
So he's like, if you sit around and wait for it, you're going to wait around forever. Whoopi Goldberg didn't wait for it. Nobody in the 80s was looking for a chocolate woman with dreads.
Right.
And they were dreads. They weren't locks. They weren't in, you know, how they are now. And black is beautiful.
Right.
And natural. You know, my twist and my curls. No, it wasn't that.
Right.
It
wasn't.
In 82.
It wasn't.
She made them look at her.
Yeah.
And I said, okay. And so I started writing, and it became what it became. But it also, I wrote it because he had directed a piece, a one-woman show, and the woman went through stuff that I went through. But oh my God, it was so depressing. Like it was very good, but I left heavy. Like I took her stuff
home
with me.
Yeah.
I felt sorry for her.
Right.
Like, she was like, hugging people. And of course, you want to congratulate her because it was a good show. But I was like, oh my God, I feel so bad. And I remember telling Ozzy, I said, I don't want people to leave my show feeling like this.
What was the name of the show? Psych, don't tell
I
me.
forgot. I would have to remember because it was good. It wasn't that it was bad. She was a wonderful actor. It was great how it was put together, everything. But I felt like, oh my God.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
And I didn't want people to feel that way because I don't feel that way.
Right.
I don't feel that way about my life. Yeah, it was messed up, but I don't feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I've been through it. What's next? Like, that's just
Woo! So we gotta give the people some.
Okay. All right.
Some. And we're here for 2 shows, so take your time.
Okay. So it starts basically because I've said this many times. So when I was a child, it started off, like I said, I was born in 78, so early 80s, family.
So we're the same age then.
Yeah, I'll be 45 this year.
Same.
There you go.
We look good. But go ahead.
So I earliest family. So my father, he worked for the mayor, but he dibbled and dabbled with selling drugs, but he wasn't like a corner boy. He sold weight, so bricks. I'm sorry, this is I know, but we know what stuff is, even though we're Christians. We know what it is.
Yeah.
So my dad,
and if you don't Google it, but
Google
go ahead.
It. Yes, it's out there.
Yeah.
Google it.
Right.
So he did that, and he ended up, and again in the 80s, cocaine was like how marijuana is now. Right. It's a social thing. So it wasn't like, oh my God, you pull out crack. Right. It was the rich man's drug. If you had it, you had money. Right. So it just kept you up. It kept you alert. A lot of bankers, Wall Street, like it was a rich man's drug. Right. So it was acceptable. Mm-hmm. So my mother used as well. And she had an addictive personality where he did not. And so he ended up going away to jail. Briefly, I want to say maybe a year. But when he went away, her addiction kicked in. It really kicked in. And thinking, hindsight, things were different. Money wasn't the same. It was, but she was using the money that she had for drugs. Right. Because my dad wasn't there now to supply. So my dad came home and he's, using cocaine, but cocaine made my dad violent. So my dad would, beat my mom. They would have like violent fights in front of me. And so the turning point where I went with my mother was my dad had hit my mom, and I jumped on him, and he like flung me off of him, and I hit the wall. And my mom was like, "Okay, cool, I'm done." And so we left. But Dad was like, I kind of wish I would have stayed. Like,
like thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah. Here, I would have known what I was doing. So we ended up moving, and her addiction kept going.
And I wanted to interject here because the reason why I said I wanted to interject here is because I had a similar experience to that piece.
Okay.
And there's other people out there too. My dad's drug use made him violent.
Okay.
I remember my dad, we lived in a duplex. Okay. My dad climbed up the front of our duplex. He climbed up the second floor. We lived on the second floor. He was banging on the windows because he wanted to get in to get money from my mom.
Okay.
And it was so bad. I was so scared. And so we were like hiding. But the neighbor downstairs, who she was a former addict, she came upstairs. She said, "Annette, you gotta give him the money." Yeah, because he was messing with crack. Crack is different.
Crack is way different.
Crack is a little different.
Crack is whack.
Yeah, crack is whack. I mean, cocaine whack too, but crack is whacker. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a different kind of high. I did a lot of studying on crack. I really did.
Yeah.
I didn't use it.
Yes,
I just studied the behavior.
Yeah.
But yeah, so my mom, because he wouldn't stop, he was going to bust the window, right? And so my mom let him in. She let him in, and she had the money ready for him. And when he was leaving out, he was just hitting her,
right.
And just calling her, and that was just like one of the most traumatic experiences that I've had with my dad.
Okay.
At that moment.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yours was a little bit different. Your dad didn't. It was a reflex. But I get it.
Right, yeah. And I remember it, but I don't, like, I don't remember. I remember it, but I don't remember like the traumatic part. I just remember like, boom, all right, like, yeah. Right. Like if I was to get flung down, like I'm like, oh, all right, cool. Okay, you got me. Like, I'm sorry, I'm crazy. So yes, so my mom turned into crackhead, like, and so first thing, I remember she would take me with her to go cop, which means to go get drugs, and it would be in the middle of the night, school night, didn't matter, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. One time, I think she owed the drug dealers money, and they beat her behind, like right in front of me. Like I'm in the car, and she's outside the car, and two men are like tearing her up.
Oh,
like,
wow.
Like she had like a busted lip, a black eye, like she had like blood like all over her face. Like that's how bad. She was leaving me in crack houses, like leaving me with people, like, but she would hide it.
Let's go back. She was leaving you in crack houses. Tell us about how you felt then, or what you experienced.
So from what I remember, I didn't know it was a crack house, because it was so like crack houses could look like how it looks on the movies, like an abandoned house where you just allow this, where you just smoke crack,
like New Jack City.
Or right, it could look like that.
The Carter.
Or or it could be in the hood on a small block, and this, grandma, let her, let her, if she got her daughter or her niece or whoever, and then her nephew is selling, or her grandson is a drug dealer, and he's the one that's selling them. Like, it's just accepted, like it's okay. So there was other children there. It was the heat didn't work. It was a kerosene heater. They had like kerosene heaters and stuff. The beds, were on the floor, but I was like 6, 7, so I'm not. You ever hear when people say, I didn't know I was poor until I looked back and was like, damn. So then,
darn. She said darn.
I said darn.
Yeah.
I didn't know that it was a crack house until looking back, like I was in a crack house.
Right. Let me tell you something.
I know what crack smell like.
I know what crack. Listen, let me explain something to you. My mom, I lie to you now. My mom had a blue Chrysler. It was a blue Chrysler. I believe it was a Chrysler. Anyway, but in the back seats had all of these burnt marks on it, all over the seat. Now my mom didn't do those drugs.
Right.
But I used to think to myself, get in the car, like, what is this? But I didn't know until I got older that this was crack pipers. But back then, I didn't know what I was playing with them.
You was putting your finger in them.
Like, you know what's the funniest thing, right? My mom. And then we're gonna get back to you, sir. I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh at this, but we know other people out there have experiences, and this has hindered people.
Yeah.
But it was my mom used to buy me. She used to buy me $2 bills, 50-cent pieces, all of this kind of stuff, and she would stack them up in the house.
Okay.
And so when I got older, I was like, I wonder what happened. I just thought, how over time stuff just disappears. Like it just, and then around the same time that I figured out that those was crack birds, I realized he done stole my 50-cent pieces and my $12 bills.
They going. Just like my mom.
They went
my necklace, my little Roni necklace that was going. There was a lot of, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, it was a lot. Great.
Yeah,
So we're gonna come right back after this commercial break.
We're gonna pick up at the crack house.
We're gonna pick up at the crack house.
So what is the one thing that if you didn't have it, you could potentially lose every asset you ever had, or not pursue everything you felt you deserved? Your worth and value. Hi, I'm LaQuanda McCoullum, worth advocate, author, and host of the Worth It TV Empowerment Series. And guess what? I am so grateful to introduce you to the Worth It Academy. Part of my life purpose is to speak to people in a worthless space and to inspire and empower them to live like they are worth it. Why? Because I know firsthand what it feels like to lose absolutely everything, because I didn't understand the investment God made when He made me. And I also know what it feels like to not pursue things because I didn't feel I deserved it. But I also know what it feels like to reclaim my worth and to get up and go get everything that God said was mine. And I want to share those tools with you inside of the Worth It Academy, because your dreams are worth it. And I know that once you rediscover your worth, you will be positioned to get up and go get everything that belongs to you. Join us today inside of the Worth It Academy.
So welcome back. So we're at the crack house.
Yes, we're at the crack house.
Okay.
So I was left there. Sent the school notice, that something ain't right. Because, when I was with my father and, they were together, my appearance was different. I was prepared, just, you could tell something's not right at home. Like, look at this little girl. She's coming. She's disheveled. It's a lot going on. So they called DHS and I was sent to a home. And it was a lot going on in the home. Like,
wait, so when you say, I just want to be clear. So when you say you were sent to a home, you were taken out of your mother's care.
I was taken out of school. DHS
taken out of school.
Took me out of school and took me directly to St. Vincent's, which is it was a group home.
Okay, so you had to stay in a group home.
Yeah, for a weekend because the courts were closed by the time my dad found out. And my mother basically told the courts, well, if I can't have her, nobody can. So she was like leaving me to the wolves. That was the crack talking. But
right, I get it.
But she, but my dad wasn't having it. But there, staff beat kids with flashlights. It was. It wasn't any sexual abuse, but it was a lot of physical abuse. And now, working with children, we're the ones that are targeted because 9 times out of 10, if you were in a group home, you might have behavioral issues. You don't have family. So who are you going to tell?
Right, because you're a social worker. Right.
Yeah, I'm a behavioral specialist.
Behavioral specialist.
Yeah. Now. So those children tend to be targeted and be abused because who are they going to tell and who's going to believe them?
Oh my!
They don't have advocates.
They don't have advocates.
Yep. So I was only there for a weekend. Thank God. I didn't get hit. Thank God. But I witnessed, but I didn't get hit or anything. And Monday morning, my dad scooped me right on up, took me out of there. But then, being with my dad, so like I was with my dad. My mom got me a couple times, and she wouldn't let me see my dad. But then, like what my mother told my stepmother, which is my mother, she told me, she said, for some reason, she said, oh no, you can have Roni this weekend. And they thought it was like really weird because she would always give like a problem with having, with letting me visit my dad.
Right.
So she let me visit my dad, and I was getting in the bathtub. And you know how children, I would think I was like 7 or 8. And, you just take clothes off. You just time for bed, take clothes off, leave them on the floor. You go. So my mom went to go pick up my clothes, and she saw.
And this is your stepmom.
My stepmom.
Stepmom, yes.
She saw discharge in my underwear. So she like, what is, So my dad, they take me to Children's Hospital, and the doctors come out, police come out, and because this is in my dad's care. And you have to understand the system is always in favor of a mother.
Right.
Which to me is not fair.
Right.
Like,
Which is not.
It's not fair.
It should be some type of investigation first before it's automatically just assumed. But yeah.
So they pretty much, they called my mother. She comes down. They said I had gonorrhea.
What?
So instantly, like, since it's happened in my dad's care, I'm giving back to my mom. And it happened in her care. But I'm giving back to her. And they take me to the police station. So apparently, I don't remember her, but I remember saying my cousin did it. And my cousin at the time, he was 12. And she coached me to say my cousin did it. But she knew who did it. It was probably some random man that she would. Because I remember being left with different men, but I don't remember anything bad happening. But I do remember like 2 men that I was left with sometimes, So she coached me. So the police, they did their investigations, whatever. But what really made me angry as an adult is that you took my cousin was 12.
12.
And they had to do a kit on him and test him. And they're looking
so he had to have trauma.
Exactly.
Because of it.
No, he did. I know he did.
Yeah.
Just because of your actions, you want to put this on another child.
Yeah.
So that kind of like, with me and her as an
adult.
adult.
Right.
Like, yeah, the past like 10 years. Like, you know, it was
Okay.
like, oh yeah, just me writing the story, because I wanted to make sure I was writing it accurately, because I was only looking at it from a 7-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to talk to all the adults around, like, so what happened?
So wait a minute. You were 7 years old
Mm-hmm.
with gonorrhea.
Yeah.
That is,
Ain't that about? That's
yeah,
about something.
that's about something. I'm glad you beat your own self out.
Ain't that about something?
Yeah, that's something. So far where we are, and we'll continue the story. So far we're from where you started with your mom, your dad getting locked up for a year. You had to go stay with your mom in and out of crack houses. From there, you spent a weekend in care in a foster home. Come out, you know, your dad got you out of, you know, from the foster care or the group home, and then you find out you have gonorrhea. Except all up until at 7. And we've only just begun. So that's where we're going to wrap up for today. But we're going to come back on the next show so we can get to the rest. Why? Because we want to empower somebody to understand that life will do and have its way with you. But there is still an opportunity for you to live in a way that is not held hostage to everything else you've experienced up to the point where you have freedom.
That's right.
Right? So now we're going to get into, I don't know how to transition from here, but we just going to go for it. We're going to go for it. We're going to go into, is it worth it?
Is it worth it?
Is it worth it? So what we're going to do is take these signs.
Okay.
These are all our signs.
Okay.
Right? And if you're new here, then you know
Okay.
that if it's worth it,
Okay.
we're going to hold up the worth it sign.
Okay. Got it.
And if it's not worth it, we are going to hold up the nah, it ain't worth it.
All right. Okay. All right. I'm ready.
Producer, can you bring up the first clip, please? Letting your friend or family member move in with you while they get on their feet. Go ahead. Is it worth it?
I saw a maybe.
Right, it's no babies. It's gotta be. She's erring on the side of. Listen, y'all. If she says it's not worth it, she's had some experiences. Okay, but I will say this.
Yes, you know, guys.
It depends on the cousin. It depends on the cousin.
Yeah.
It depends on the aunt. It depends on the uncle. Okay, because we got kids to think about. Okay.
But I'm gonna say, because God, you get blessings. So
You
get
get
blessings. I do my good deed, but that's gonna be a year though. That's gonna be a good deed for the year.
You don't gotta do nothing else good for the rest of the year.
Done. Finish.
What's the next one? So we said it's worth it. Okay. So what is the next one? Apologizing even when you know you're not wrong. Okay. Now I will have to admit, had this been 10 years ago,
Right. It would have been
maybe last year, it would have been not worth
Yeah,
it.
it would have been. We mature.
That's it. See, you got all those degrees for a reason. See, that's what it was. That's what it was. See, we ain't talking about her 13 degrees that she got, but she got them. That's where they're kicking in now. Okay, they're upstaging me. They're upstaging me with your intelligence.
I'm piggybacking off she said it first.
Right? Listen, y'all. So guys, tell us what you think.